think there's something. I know you guys have to return.
The domestic terrorist organization, Unit 207, which consists of members of the North Everett Precinct, DCYF in the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office et al., but most notably all of the individuals currently upstairs, once again followed their pattern of criminal conduct, a pattern they've already been advised repeatedly they have no immunity for personally or criminally. They criminally and illegally ended the preceding live streams, every preceding live stream. You want to go to facebook.com/Mystic Gwen Loves Only You. And from there, you will be able to see for yourselves the police report from yesterday at 3 a.m. And just keep in mind that the domestic terrorist organization's MO has been to continue with the exact same crimes that are referenced therein, to plot and scheme some more crimes, and to once again implicate themselves and others within their domestic terrorist organization. There is no legitimate operation taking place, nor has there ever been. There has been an aggravated criminal conspiracy in a domestic terrorist organization that is guilty of a litany of crimes, from child abuse, child endangerment, kidnapping, stalking, harassment, ADA and civil rights violations. So many frauds without any immunity that multiple former members of the bar are facing federal disbarment. And the FBI has not said that that won't be happening this month, which is worth noting, considering that they absolutely stated previously that this would be the month those prosecutors would be federally disbarred. However, do keep in mind, they did state that originally the police officers that were going to prison were all going to be detained prior to February 1st, and that got pushed back to March. But again, there has been zero addendum to the plan of federally disbarring those of you facing federal disbarment within the domestic terrorist organization. Unit 207 is already actively engaging in an attempt to criminally and illegally shut off this live stream. It is now 9:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There is a male domestic terrorist upstairs that is following the instructions of the female identified as Mini-Me. Her and Mrs. 80 plus years are some of the handful of people the FBI has stated they are excited to put in prison. And they just basically harass all of their fellow domestic terrorists until they take on all of the criminal and personal liability, which is why so many of them will soon be former officers and who will in fact be in prison. In some instances, they're going to go on to a lucrative career at Panda Express, where they'll be a manager and they'll get to tell people that they used to be a police officer before they abused children, kidnapped them, stalked women, and perpetrated so many crimes that they went to prison for being domestic terrorists. All of these individuals have been on a no-fly list so that they can fly to places like Indonesia that don't allow extradition. But then once they arrive, they're not going to be able to go through customs because a federal marshal will be there who's going to promptly put them back on the plane and fly them back to the United States. That's been the case since August, when their aggravated criminal enterprise, their aggravated criminal conspiracy, their domestic terrorist organization became exactly that, and not just an aggravated criminal conspiracy, as in they weren't labeled a domestic terrorist organization until the multiple series of crimes they committed in August, which is when they officially reached that legal threshold in every way, shape, or form. Now, again, they're actively attempting to terminate this. As you've seen in preceding live streams, am running recordings offline on the Lenovo ThinkPad. They are planning another breaking and entering. They are literally thinking that they are creating a defense and shielding themselves from accountability for the last 3 days. They being the women that won't shut the fuck up and the poor men upstairs that are going to prison just because they tried to get those women to shut up for the last 3 days. All they've actually been doing is the exact thing that the FBI had me tell them over and over and over and over and over and over again. Which is what? Say it with me. further incriminating yourselves and providing further evidence to be used in your looming prosecution. And that's it. That's all you've been doing. Nothing else that you've been doing. No productivity, no legitimate anything. Everything you've been doing has been criminal since the day you began doing it, and has been a domestic terrorist organization since August 2024. There is no exceptions. Those of you that were looking at getting immunity because you hit the deadlines for blowing the whistle independently, if you've participated in the last 3 days of criminality, there is probably a 0% chance that you will be offered any sort of plea deal for at least the crimes of the last 3 days. Because if you missed it, the FBI had me orally inform you and in writing over and over and over again since February 4th that you and you alone are personally and criminally liable. Are personally and criminally liable. Are personally and criminally liable. Including for following unlawful directives from the very individuals that they are excited to arrest. As recently as this very moment in time, domestic terrorist in Unit 207 at 9:51 a.m. You've been nothing to create a defense. You haven't been doing anything to do that. What you've been doing is further proving how you're all going to prison. That's what you've been doing. That's what you are doing at this moment in time. Now, bear in mind, there's a series of things that we should go over, but because of Unit 207's domestic terrorist organization and members, we're not going to be able to go over those because they're going to criminally and illegally terminate this live stream. They might erase some stuff from it. Who knows what videos they've erased going back. Maybe they erased some videos of their police officers trying to break and enter. Maybe they erased some videos of their police officers perpetrating the premeditated illegal fraud required to kidnap my sons, who they've been abusing for 13 months, who they've been indoctrinating directly and with their co-conspirators. There is no part of this operation, according to the FBI, which is, again, a non-existent operation, that any normal individual, even a layperson who's not part of the enforcement community, would have ever pretended that there was a legal pretext or justification for. The ADA violations, the child abuse, the child endangerment, all of these things you will all be prosecuted for. Every termination of the live stream for the last 3 days in your plans as recently as midnight to break and enter and to illegally search and go through things and plant evidence or whatever, you're all going to prison. There's not a single thing that any individual in Unit 207 has done that you are not going to be charged for, particularly since January 1st of 2025. Again, Unit 207 is just doing the same things that they've been doing over and over and over again. My door is closed, as I've been ordered to keep it closed since January 2nd. And it's my understanding that they plan on doing additional crimes, such as everything they've been doing with these live streams, indefinitely until their final breaking and entering, which has always been premeditated to take place concurrent with them illegally and criminally terminating a live stream. But what they don't realize is there's not a sheriff in this county that doesn't know you're a domestic terrorist. Not one. Not one. Not one. So remember, if you don't hear an explicit in time, and that a commencement of a new live stream is occurring in 90 seconds or less, that I didn't end it. The domestic terrorist upstairs and at the North Everett precinct are responsible, and their domestic terrorist organization is going to be charged and convicted as soon as either an unspecified date in March or within 10 minutes of that third breaking and entering that y'all have planned. Testing. Do we have audio at 9:58 a.m.? Or are the domestic terrorists upstairs preventing that again? Are we still connected at 10:02 a.m.? Are we still connected at 10:02 a.m.? The domestic terrorists upstairs are actively attempting again to.
Are we still connected at 10:02 a.m.?
Sooner to hide their criminal actions. I either planned third.
The domestic terrorists upstairs are actively attempting again to. Are we still connected at 10:02 a.m.?
Sooner to hide their criminal actions. I either planned third.
The domestic terrorists upstairs are actively attempting again to. Are we still connected at 10:02 a.m.?
Sooner to hide their criminal actions. Here's a fun fact, guys. The NSA is on your ass today. That was the latest FBI brief. Here's a fun fact, guys. The NSA is on your ass today. That was the latest FBI brief. The latest FBI brief is now the NSA is on your ass.
The NSA is on your ass today. That was the latest
Domestic
FBI
terrorists, child
brief.
abusers, kidnappers, stalkers, fraudsters, thieves, disgracers, professional domestic terrorists, So, as a courtesy, I'm going to attempt to navigate to the preceding live stream, which covers the bare minimum of what we need to cover in the beginning of all of these live streams. And Unit 207, they may choose to terminate this, but again, they're all going to prison. And no one in prison likes child abusing, kidnapping.
But again, they're all going to prison.
And no one in prison likes child abusing, kidnapping, stalking, fraudster, corrupt.
Prison likes child abusing, kidnapping,
stalking, fraudster, corrupt. Former police officers, and they really don't like fat women who play a role in all of those crimes that call themselves social workers either. Police officers, and they really don't like fat women who play a role in all of those crimes that call themselves social workers either. Police officers, and they really don't like. So remember, you've never been part of any legitimate or legal operation.
Officers, and they really don't like.
So remember, you've never been part of any legitimate or legal operation. There is no legal pretext that says you can abuse children, kidnap them, stalk a woman, commit fraud, and perpetrate 250 crimes against her in the United States of America. And kidnap them, stalk a woman, commit fraud, and perpetrate 250 crimes against her in the United States of America.
And kidnap them, stalk a woman.
There is no legal pretext in any United State or territory.
And kidnap them, stalk a woman.
There is no legal pretext in any United State or territory. You are part of an aggravated criminal conspiracy.
Any United States or territory.
You are part of an aggravated criminal conspiracy. A criminal enterprise.
You are part of an aggravated criminal conspiracy.
A criminal enterprise. And you, because of your criminal actions.
Criminal conspiracy.
A criminal enterprise. And you, because of your criminal actions, as of August, became a domestic terrorist organization.
Of your criminal actions,
as of August, became a domestic terrorist organization. You are a real threat to the judiciary.
Became a domestic terrorist organization.
You are a real threat to the judiciary. You are all personally and criminally
are a real threat to the judiciary.
You are all personally and criminally liable for all of your individual actions,
personally and criminally,
liable for all of your individual actions.
personally and
There is absolutely no immunity regardless of your position or perceived authority. Absolutely no immunity regardless of your position or perceived authority. Quite the opposite. You're going to be convicted and prosecuted for your abuse of that and your creation of the domestic terrorist organization. Be convicted and prosecuted for your abuse of that and your creation of the domestic terrorist organization. The FBI is excited to abdicate those in positions of power
of the domestic terrorist organization.
The FBI is excited to abdicate those in positions of power, but disappointed in those of you who over the last 3 days forfeited your rights to immunity for blowing the whistle because of your criminal conduct. Over the last 3 days forfeited your rights to immunity for blowing the whistle because of your criminal conduct. Over the last 3 days forfeited your rights to immunity for blowing the whistle because of your criminal conduct. Over the last 3 days forfeited your rights to immunity for blowing the whistle because of your criminal conduct. Your willingness to follow the unlawful directives of your domestic terrorist organization. Lawful directives of your domestic terrorist organization. And you will be charged for all of it.
Of your domestic terrorist organization.
Personally and
you will
criminally
be charged
for all of it.
of your domestic terrorist organization.
Personally
And
and
you will be
criminally.
charged
Happy Friday.
organization.
Personally
And
and
you will be
criminally.
charged
Happy Friday.
or
All right. Now I am navigating to the preceding live stream. If Unit 207 allows it, they're still actively trying to terminate this one. I mean, they have nothing left to lose. You guys are looking at more prison time via the minimum mandatory sentences than any of you have left to live. You guys are looking at more prison time via the minimum mandatory sentences than any of you have left to live. You guys are looking at more prison time via the minimum mandatory sentences than any of you have left to live. You guys are looking at more prison time via the minimum mandatory sentences than any of you have left to live. So I'm going to click on the preceding live stream and we'll try to play you the beginning of that they criminally and illegally shut off, like all of the others, for 3 days. I think there was 2 or 3 that they didn't shut off.
Domestic terrorist activities attempting to circumvent acts of law. Domestic terrorist activities attempting to circumvent acts of law. Domestic terrorist activities attempting to circumvent acts of law. Domestic terrorist activities attempting to circumvent acts of law. Domestic terrorist activities attempting to circumvent acts of law.
Again, they're preventing any views from being visible on this video at 8:46 of their domestic terrorist organizations.
Trying to get to the
They've
right
said about
spot in
her
this recording.
explicitly, 25 at 8:42 a.m. At least as of this very moment in time, they're active within your domestic terrorist organization with prior live stream.
15
Perhaps they'll
minutes
fix
into
it
the
right now.
preceding
Again, it is now
live stream.
8:48 a.m. The
It's actually 10:11
organization
a.m.
financed by the city of Everett, which in of itself is going to lead to a lot of people being arrested. Remember, the willingness of this specific domestic terrorist organization to corrupt other institutions, per the FBI, is mafia level. Racketeering is on each and every indictment that's going out, and so are RICO levels. RICO charges. RICO charges. And
For the FBI,
and
is
so
not
are
RICO level.
RICO
Phones are
charges.
tomato sign or something. It's gonna be fine.
The voiceover had rang out again.
If you blew the whistle and you've been involved in the last 3 days, even if you hit their deadlines, you're not going to get immunity. All right, so I'm adding in the description everything that was in the preceding live stream, and then at 8:52 a.m., adding Unit 207.
Oh, on that note, I need
Ended
to edit
prior
this
live.
one and let
Everybody know that they ended the preceding live stream as
Is
well.
actively
That's what you're listening to right now. Using 3 domestic terrorists within their organization. 3 domestic terrorists, soon to be detained. To end this live, as they have been doing nonstop for 3 days to obstruct, tamper. I'm going to pause that right there and read the update that I've just added to the description for right now. 214, Unit 207, continuing to obstruct / tamper all lives but 2 or 3 from 2:11 to date, 2:14, 10:13 a.m. per their domestic terrorist organization. Saving at Nerd Squad at 10:14 a.m. Okay, let's resume the preceding live stream. I got to be getting to the point that I'm trying to play for you guys, which is me reading the police report from yesterday at 3 a.m. Intimidate an FBI informant of their domestic terrorist organization. Fast forwarding. We got the recording now. The other domestic terrorist. Unit 207 to go to the domestic terrorist operation. Guys, and all of your actions met the legal threshold for you all to be marked domestic terrorist in the domestic terrorist organization in the month of August. So again, remember, if you do not hear an explicit end time and that the commencement of a new live stream will be occurring within 90 seconds or less, that I am not responsible. The domestic terrorist organization full of North Everett precinct officers, a couple of prosecutors, many child abusers that are working as child protectors, which is disgusting to myself and every man and woman at the FBI and in the Snohomish County. I mean, we all know. All of us know who you are, those of you that are going to prison. You're not getting away with anything. In some instances, all you DCYF employees, I don't know who the head is of your department, but there are people who know about what you really are that are excited for your detainment and to come and take your job. But there are people who know about what you really are that are excited for your detainment.
My goodness. At what point did I play the recording? I didn't think it was 30
Prison for the rest of their lives. 10 individuals. Now, and quite frankly, let's be realistic, I would leave my phone and just not put me on the channel. It reflects on the interface on 2023. Except that's the kicker.
Human group deployed vehicles, etc.
That's a degree better. Explore more than
I'm still fast forwarding.
2023, looked out for them in Tel Aviv.
And it is also why the FBI absolutely.
My mother used to. Mother, yeah.
We assimilate the harsh sounds.
Okay, well, I thought that I played that video in the preceding live stream, but I don't hear it. So I'm going to go back to my YouTube channel because I know that when I filed the police report, I was rolling a live stream at 4:32 a.m. on the 13th yesterday. And I read it aloud 2 hours into that video before they criminally and illegally shut off that live stream. So let's scroll down to wherever that one is. There's a lot that they've criminally and illegally shut off in the interim. Okay, so clicking on this.
A strange brown spine that had formed on the bedside table.
And
The crucifix,
I
originally which was hung on the
read
wall,
it
was
2
then found on the
hours
ground.
in,
Showing the wood on which it was mounted.
which is
Scratches of three claws were clearly
right about
visible
here.
on the wall.
From June 2024 to the present date and any future date are hereby incorporated by ref.
Oh,
They
I overshot it. Let me rewind it. A bit.
incorporate immediate action required. Criminal enterprise.
Hang on.
Don't be shocked and unnerved if they criminally and illegally end this live stream. They'll be convicted for that. They'll be charged for that financially and literally.
Duh. Verified. Okay, so this is from yesterday's recording at 4:32 a.m. You can fast forward an hour and 55 minutes into that recording, and then you'll have the recording of me reading the police report from yesterday at 3 a.m., which Unit 207 and their domestic terrorist organization seems to be under the impression that nobody who's going to be putting them in prison was able to receive that, which in of itself would be a series of felonies. It's now 10:19 a.m. Valentine's Day 2025. Are we still connected? It's now 10:19 a.m. Valentine's Day 2025. Are we still connected? Okay. Remember, my front door has been closed since January 2nd, 2025 and locked. The only exception was after 19 days of premeditating a breaking and entering and who to utilize from Unit 207 and me reporting it and then criminally and illegally rejecting those reports to facilitate the children they've been abusing for 13 months and will be going to prison for kidnapping and endangering. They chose to use them to perpetrate that breaking and entering on January 29th. And then I literally put nails into the wall in front of my front door so it cannot open without a breaking and entering. And I didn't go outside and interact with anything. And according to the FBI, the reason for all of these terminations over the last 3 days within the domestic terrorist organization is because they've decided that if they do that and pretend as though things happened that didn't, that maybe then they'll have a legal defense. Because they don't realize they're absolutely going to prison. And if you missed it, their premeditated plan has consistently involved criminally and illegally terminating the live streams before they send their fellow domestic terrorists of the North Everett precinct here to break and enter again and to illegally and criminally arrest me and or unlawfully commit me and or kidnap me. What they don't realize is what is actually going to happen should they choose to proceed with that to help some of the domestic terrorists that the FBI is excited to throw in prison, who have sacrificed all of them already and who they keep taking unlawful directives from. Now here's that police report from yesterday at 13 a.m. Again, this is from the recording from yesterday at 4:32 a.m. If you fast forward an hour and 55 minutes into that, you'll hear to read aloud.
Okay, this will be a little tricky because normally I put the laptop right here, but here is my house otter and he is not moving. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's been like a little kitty boy for.
My cat is still being a whore.
15
I don't know
hours.
what's wrong with him. He is just
So just aim it at
right
Hunter.
here being
Watch him try and eat
cute
the board.
little handsome bug.
Oh, you a vicious kitty. Oh, look at you, vicious boy. Okay, here we go. Here's the police report. It's also the fourth addendum to the February 4th. This was sent to all the law clerks at the Snohomish Superior Courthouse, as well as the clerk's department. It was also sent to the North Everett Precinct, the Seattle FBI, the Snohomish County Sheriffs, DCYF, Anne-Marie Bauer, anyone and everyone that's going to prison and owes me millions, except for my multiple times convicted stalker and abuser, who's one of their co-conspirators. It's also filed at the North Everett Police Precincts, which they'll reject, I'm sure. Everyone was tagged on Facebook, except for the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, as they blocked me the first week of January 2025, because they think that by doing so, they can pretend they've not been served and aren't implicated when a couple of them are going to be federally disbarred. So here we go. Fourth addendum to formal judicial notice and police report filed February 13th, 2025, 3 a.m. Original filing, formal judicial notice, aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, child abuse, child endangerment, stalking, harassment, extortion, fraud, civil rights violations, and retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct. Unit 207 and associated individuals, mandatory filing pursuant to ADA in any/all cases with my legal names, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date of original filing, February 4th, 2025, 10:08 a.m. PST. Previous addendums, February 6th, 2025, 7 a.m. February 7th, 2025, 1:45 p.m. PST. Correcting previous documents error which incorrectly labeled it as third addendum. February 8th, 2025, 7:12 a.m. PST. For those of you that don't know, those are the documents you have to read on top of this one that I'm about to read to you so that you know exactly what's going on. And here we go. 2, Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al., and forwarded to FBI. From Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, subject, supplemental information regarding further criminal activities, escalation of threats, evidence tampering, continued child abuse, and incurred penalties, February 10th to February 13th, 2025. Immediate action required. Criminal enterprise in domestic terrorist organization. No immunity for unlawful directives. This document serves as the fourth addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. PST and previously supplemented. It provides further critical updates regarding the relentless and escalating criminal conspiracy orchestrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their expanding network of co-conspirators. This addendum also functions as a formal police report detailing new criminal acts perpetrated between February 10th and February 13th, 2025. 1. Incorporation of prior filings by reference. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and all subsequent addendums February 6th, February 7th, and February 8th, 2025, and all police reports filed by Lynette Renee Hansen from June 2024 to the present date, and any future date are hereby incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. This explicitly includes, but is not limited to, Declaration of Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, dated December 14th, 2024, revised 8:07 p.m. PST due to unlawful tampering. Addendum to Declaration dated December 19th, 2024. Addendum and Amendment to Declaration dated December 29th, 2024. Tort claim filed August 14th, 2024, case number 10-500-5934, served upon the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al. All police reports filed since June 2024 by me, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. 2. Supplemental information, criminal acts from February 10th to February 13th, 2025. The following criminal acts have been perpetrated by Unit 207 and their co-conspirators. further demonstrating the ongoing and escalating nature of this criminal enterprise. February 10th, 2025, just before noon, a male individual from Unit 207 briefly appeared to deliver written materials. The content and purpose of these materials are currently unknown, but are considered suspect in the context of ongoing harassment and conspiracy. February 10th, 2025, 2 p.m. PST, the North Everett Precinct predictably and unlawfully rejected the police report/addendum filed on February 8th. This blatant act of obstruction of justice is consistent with their ongoing efforts to shield themselves and their co-conspirators from accountability. Occupants of Unit 207 were overheard discussing their intent to feign cessation of stalking while continuing these criminal activities. They also discussed plans to dispatch multiple individuals to my residence before February 23rd under the false pretense that my participation is required for some unspecified purpose. February 10th, 2025, 12 a.m. and 8:37 a.m. PST. YouTube live streams initiated by me were criminally and illegally terminated. These actions are consistent with evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and obstruction of justice. February 11th, 2025, 8 a.m. to 5:16 p.m. PST. Unit 207 engaged in a cybercrime spree, illegally shutting off an astounding 23 live streams. February 11th, 2025, 5:20 p.m. PST. A male individual from the upstairs unit known to be actively stalking me with neighbors Andy and Kelly, the DCYF employee and brother of an EPD officer who left harassing notes in the summer of 2023, entered the balcony door of Unit 207. This further illustrates the coordinated stalking and harassment efforts involving multiple individuals and potentially implicating members of law enforcement and DCYF. That shouldn't say potentially. That should say, and it implicates. Everything that is written here, there is evidence of beyond a reasonable doubt, and the FBI has confirmed that damn near every day that I've been illegally detained. Moving on. February 13th, 2025, 1:55 a.m. PST. During a live stream, Unit 207 illegally terminated the broadcast and, in a significant escalation of evidence tampering, erased a 20-plus hour recording stored offline. This act was concurrent with the criminal and illegal erasure of over 4 hours of the YouTube live stream from the previous night. Prior to the termination, I had explicitly noted in the live stream description a threat from the female occupant upstairs to terminate the broadcast while I slept, which he subsequently carried out. This erasure is believed to be for the same reason speculated in the February 8th addendum: obstruction of justice, intimidation of a federal witness, and tampering with evidence of their ongoing criminal conspiracy. Ongoing cybercrimes and live stream interference, February 12th to the 13th. February 13th, 1:55 a.m. PST. Live termination, as noted above. February 12th, 9:11 p.m. PST. Female felons in upstairs unit explicitly planned to terminate the live stream while I slept. This threat was typed into the live stream description in an attempt to preemptively deter their criminal actions and document their intent. February 12th,
I'm just going to pause the recording here and point out at 10:31 a.m. PST, I have changed the title per the FBI's instructions of this video. Unit 207 is actively engaging and attempting to somehow acquire fraudulent court orders to completely terminate my YouTube channel. Remember, they've prevented me from creating any YouTube channel with any other address. The only reason this one is still intact is because of the litigation and contracts Google and I have signed. Additionally, per the FBI's instructions, I'm to start running Facebook live streams concurrent with my offline recordings on the Lenovo ThinkPad on the new Facebook that I had to create because of Unit 207's obstruction and tampering for their criminal enterprise, their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was in operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was in operation.
Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation. Their domestic terrorist organization, which they've been illegally and criminally telling people was an operation.
Okay, back to the recording. And remember, you're hearing the read aloud of yesterday's police report. The title per the FBI's instructions has been changed on this video to 2:14-9:44 a.m. New report /add period shorthand for addendum 2:13-3 a.m. North Everett Precinct, NEP, Unit 207, Prosecutor et al. Exposed prison millions inevitable. Prosecutor et al. Exposed prison millions inevitable. All right, back to the recording.
It's 8:57 p.m. PST. Female felons engaged in further cyber tampering, illegally cutting and tampering with the live stream. February 12th, 8:02 p.m. Live stream terminated from 7:56 p.m. to 8:02 p.m. February 12th, 7:51 p.m. Update. Unit 207 activity since noon indicates female felons are anticipating imprisonment but express high expectation for next week and further crimes, believing, quote, court, quote, will favor them. They also suggest co-conspirators are, quote, even more excited for next week. February 12th, 9:02 a.m. PST. Unit 207 terminated a prior live stream. February 12th, 6:43 a.m. to 7:43 a.m. PST. Unit 207 engaged in extensive planning out and conspiratorial. There we go. Unit 207 engaged in extensive planning and conspiratorial discussions involving both male and female occupants, continuing as of 7:44 a.m. PST. February 12th to February 13th at 3 a.m. Unit 207 has criminally and illegally tampered with, obstructed, and committed cyber crimes against at least 9 live streams. 3. This is not an operation. This is a criminal enterprise and domestic terrorist organization. It is important to state unequivocally that the actions documented herein and in all prior filings are not part of any legitimate law enforcement operation, nor are they justifiable under any legal pretext. This is an aggravated criminal conspiracy, a criminal enterprise, and constitutes the actions of a domestic terrorist organization.
Pausing the recording again. It is 10:35 a.m. I just made an adjustment and saved it, Nerd Squad, to the description. So now we have 2:14, 10:34 a.m. Unit 207 attempting to acquire further fraudulent court orders to terminate my entire YouTube channel. They have blocked any ability to create a new channel via any email since illegally detaining me on August 6th. Saving that at 10:36 a.m. The female upstairs that is one of the multiple people the FBI says has to go to prison. She's doing the same thing she's been doing for 4 days and squawking at everybody to get rid of my live streams, get rid of my live streams, get rid of. She is the one I call Mini-Me, who I renamed to Tom Dooley. And it is the one that she has been idolizing that is the very reason all of you are going to prison. Well, that and your own stupidity. Okay, back to the recording.
The perpetrators, including officers of the North Everett Precinct, individuals in Unit 207, and their co-conspirators, are engaged in a systematic and sustained campaign of felony stalking and harassment, constant surveillance, intimidation tactics, and deliberate disruption of my peace and safety. Cybercrimes and evidence tampering, illegal termination of live streams, erasure of recordings, and hacking attempts to obstruct justice and conceal their criminal activities. Obstruction of justice, rejection of legitimate police reports, fraudulent court maneuvers, and concerted efforts to impede any investigation into their crimes. Child abuse and exploitation, the continued and deliberate exploitation of my disabled sons to perpetrate felonies and further this criminal conspiracy. Illegal detainment and kidnapping, ongoing illegal detainment within my own home, and prior actionable kidnappings of my disabled sons. Civil rights violations and ADA violations, systematic deprivation of my civil rights and targeted discrimination based on disability. Financial fraud and extortion, attempts to extort and defraud me through various illegal means. 4, no immunity for unlawful directives. Let it be explicitly stated, following unlawful directives from superiors or co-conspirators provides absolutely no immunity for these criminal acts. Every individual involved, regardless of their position or perceived authority, is personally and criminally liable for their participation in this conspiracy. The willingness to obstruct justice, tamper with evidence, and intimidate a federal witness only deepens their culpability and ensures the maximum penalties under the law. 5, echoes of January 2024 pattern of criminality confirmed. It is critical to note that this pattern of criminal behavior is not new. In January 2024, individuals from Unit 207, including the same 2 males who initiated my illegal detainment on August 6, 2024, were actively engaged in indoctrinating and exploiting disabled minors, directing my multiple times convicted stalker and abuser to indoctrinate our disabled sons based on their disabilities, and to plan their kidnapping until August 17, 2024. Destruction of personal property, deliberately destroying my brand new laptops in January 2024. Theft, stealing money from each and every delivery I received for all of my deliveries from September 2023 to August 2024. These actions, like the ongoing crimes, were never part of any legitimate legal operation. They
Just gonna pause it there and say, duh!
are and always have been components of a premeditated and aggravated criminal conspiracy targeting me and my children. The abuse of disabled minors for 13 months, their exploitation to perpetrate felonies, kidnapping, ADA violations, stalking, harassment, and all other documented crimes are not and cannot be construed as any form of legitimate operation. They are,
Again, duh!
the hallmarks of a criminal enterprise, operating with impunity and a complete disregard for the law.
Final
6,
time. Duh!
financial penalties updated. The following financial penalties previously invoiced and contractually agreed upon are reiterated and updated to reflect the additional criminal acts documented in this addendum. $100,000 per day for each day of my ongoing illegal detention, now totaling over 187 days. $10 million for any attempted illegal entry into my residence, increased to $25 million if I am asleep at the time. This penalty applies to the breaking and entering on January 29th. $10 million for the use of my sons and or for coercing them to commit any illegal acts, including the January 29th breaking and entering. Doubling of all penalties if fraudulent court orders are used in conjunction with any illegal act. Quadrupling of these fees for any of the above criminal acts if they are perpetrated within 7 days of a rejected police report regarding said acts. 10 million for the rejection of legitimate police reports constituting obstruction of justice. This applies to all reports rejected to date, including the rejection of the February 8th report. 10 million for each instance of illegally terminating a YouTube live stream. This applies to all instances to date, including the numerous terminations between February 10th and February 13th. 10 million for each and every instance of stalking. 10 million for each and every instance of harassment. 10 million for each and every instance of ADA violations. 10 million for each and every instance of civil rights violations. Additional penalties incurred February 10th to February 13th, 2025. Obstruction of justice. Rejection of 2-8 report. 40 million quadrupled penalty. Live stream terminations February 10th to the 13th. At least 30 terminations times 10 million equals 300 million. Ongoing stalking, harassment, and cybercrimes. Penalties continue
Correcting
to
a
occur
spelling
daily
error
and
in the
per
description
incident.
of this live at 10:43 a.m. Notes
The
about
criminal
saving.
actions documented in this fourth addendum, alongside those previously reported and consistently rejected by the North Everett Precinct, further and exponentially increase the financial liability of these conspirators. 7. Conclusion. This fourth addendum provides further damning and irrefutable evidence that the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and their co-conspirators are not engaged in any legitimate operation, but rather are actively perpetuating an aggravated criminal conspiracy, functioning as a criminal enterprise and a domestic terrorist organization. Their actions represent a grave threat to my safety, the well-being of my children, and the integrity of the justice system. The FBI is fully aware of these rapidly escalating developments and the increasingly egregious nature of these crimes. This document serves as formal legal notice of these ongoing and new crimes, a demand for immediate and decisive action to dismantle this criminal enterprise, protect myself and my children, and ensure that all individuals involved are held fully accountable under the law. There is no immunity for these actions, and the perpetrators will be pursued to the fullest extent of the law. I declare under penalty of perjury that all of the aforementioned is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date February 13th, 2025. Time 3:49 a.m. p.m.
Okay, it is now 10:45 a.m. Do we still have audio? Are we still connected? It is Friday, February 14th, 2025. This is a consensual recording with Mystic Gwen pursuant to the instructions of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm not an employee of the FBI, but I've been authorized to state I'm an informant since the last week of June 2024. Are we connected or not? I'm not hearing anything. Informant since the last week of June 2024. Bit of a delay. Are we connected or not? I'm not hearing anything. Informant since the last week of June 2024. Bit of a delay. Are we connected or not? I'm not hearing anything. Informant since the last week of June 2024. Bit of a delay. We're still connected. Nerd Squad. I feel like if I file another police report, an addendum, all it's going to be doing is regurgitating what I've already reported. I mean, yes, they've been doing this set of revolving crimes without abatement, even after I filed that police report. So I'm a little unclear on what you want me to do with that. Oh, Unit 207 may criminally and illegally shut off this live again because that weird thing that they've been doing with Spotify for the last 24 hours that I've shown you on the live stream, they are currently doing again. And last time it appeared that that coincided with their ability to terminate the live stream.
The more I realize I'm the one who's disappearing.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why
No,
Milo's
it's what I'm
Rewards
logging
is
into
free
that
to join.
Facebook
As a
account
member,
that
you earn
was
points towards Milo's
created
money on
because of
eligible
Unit
purchases,
207's
get exclusive
crime
free gifts,
spree,
and
but then
earn
there's
free
domestic
shipping and silver
terrorist
key stacks, all on
organization
top of weekly member-only deals.
on the
Don't wait.
Lenovo
Join
ThinkPad
Milo's Rewards for free today and start saving more.
at
Lowe's, we
10:48
help, you save.
a.m.
Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Subject to change.
Last year, Art the Clown blew up the box office with a Christmas sleigh ride for the ages. And now on Valentine's Day, Art's slashing his way into your home. That's right. On February 14th, Terrifier 3 makes its official streaming debut exclusively on Screambox. Listeners can get 3 months of Screambox for just $2.99 per month by going to terrifier3.com/LuddyFM.
Clicking that
That's
now for saving my login
terrifier3.com/LuddyFM,
information.
so you can relive all of our
I'm doing one thing at a time, so I won't attempt to turn on a live stream on the Facebook yet because I'm following the other instructions first. No, it's not at 10:49 a.m.
Why, hello there. You've reached the antiquarium. If you wish to leave a message, please do so at the tone and have a great day.
Hi, I was calling about a Grimoire Magic Stone that I recently purchased from.
Nerd Squad 1049 selecting
I did a spell.
Gemini Advanced for upgrade on the email address that you had me create on the 11th. Felons in Unit 207
Sorry.
at gmail.com.
I need that to be transposed. Wondering if you could help me.
I'm imputing the card information right now, Nerd Squad. I haven't yet initiated the transaction.
She's crawling in the back of my brain. Please help me. End of messages.
If you read someone else's diary,
The female federal felon upstairs that's going to prison for a long time that I call Mini-Me is,
David Sedaris.
well, she's doing what
Comedian.
she's been doing for basically this whole month as she started to realize that she really is going to prison, which is running around screaming at everybody to commit
Continuing
crimes for
down
her
this
and
path,
join
you
her
will find
in
the last
prison. They've all
item
been
that paints the
doing
canvas of your visit.
They've all been doing it.
A piece of paper with a note that reads,
Oh, and then frantically calling Mrs. 80 plus years for Mrs. 80 plus years to tell her to make sure they do it. That too.
That's for what that means.
Subscribing right now at 1050 Nerd Squad for that free monthly trial. Zero. Again, the account you have me create on the 11th.
Autopilot.
Unit 207 seems to be actively attempting to prevent
you
it.
ever
It's
forgotten your
initiated.
phone?
We've gotten the subscribed memo.
When
Going
did
to
you
Gemini
realize you'd
Advanced
forgotten
Nerd
it?
Squad at 10:51 a.m.
I'm guessing you didn't just smack your forehead and exclaim, "Damn!"
Are we still connected?
Your phone.
We've gotten the subscribed memo.
Dawn on you
Really?
simultaneously. More likely, you reached for your phone, pawing over your pocket or handbag, and were momentarily confused by it not being there. Then you did a mental restep of the morning's events.
Selecting Pro Experimental 2.0 Nerd Squad at 10:51 a.m.
In my case,
Waiting until I hear this
momentarily
back.
confused by it not being there, but the battery was low enough. Then you did a mental restep of the morning's events.
Selecting Pro Experimental 2.0 Nerd Squad at 10:51 a.m.
In my case,
Waiting until I hear this
momentarily
back.
confused. I went to charge while I showered instead of into my bag like normal. It was a momentary slip from the routine, but that was all it took. Once in the shower, my brain got back into the routine it follows every morning, and that was it. Forgotten. This wasn't just me being clumsy, as I later researched. It's a recognized behavioral function. Your brain doesn't just work on one level, it works on many. Like when you're walking somewhere. You think about your destination and avoiding hazards, but you don't need to think about keeping your legs moving properly. If you did, the entire world would turn into one massive, hilarious cosplay. I wasn't thinking about regulating my breathing. I was thinking about whether or not I should grab a coffee on the drive to work. I did. I wasn't thinking about moving my breakfast through my intestines. I was wondering if I'd finish on time to pick up my daughter Emily from the nursery or get stuck with another late fee. This is the thing. There's a level of your brain that quietly deals with routine so that the rest of it can think about other things. Think about it. Think about your last commute. What do you actually remember? Little, if anything, probably. Most common journeys blur together, and recalling any one in particular is scientifically proven to be difficult. Do something often enough, and it becomes routine. Keep doing it, and it stops being processed by the thinking bit of the brain, getting relegated to another part dedicated to dealing with it. Your brain keeps doing it without you thinking about it. Soon, you think about your route to work as much as you do keeping your legs moving when you walk, as in, not at all. Most people call it autopilot. But there's danger there. If you have a break in your routine, your ability to remember and account for the break is only as good as your ability to stop your brain going into routine mode. My ability to remember my phone being on the counter was only as reliable as my ability to stop my brain entering morning routine mode, which would dictate that my phone is actually in my bag. But I didn't stop my brain entering routine mode. I got in the shower as normal. Routine started. Exception forgotten. Autopilot engaged. My brain was back in the routine. I showered, I shaved, the radio forecast amazing weather. I gave Emily her breakfast and loaded her into the car. She was so adorable that morning. She complained about the bad sun blinding her, saying it stopped her having a little sleep on the way to nursery. And left. That was the routine. It didn't matter that my phone was on the counter, charging silently. My brain was in the routine, and in said routine, my phone was in my bag. This is why I forgot my phone. Not clumsiness, not negligence. Nothing more than my brain entering routine mode and overriding the exception. Autopilot engaged. I left for work. It was a swelteringly hot day already. The bad sun had been burning since before my traitorously absent phone woke me. The steering wheel was burning hot to the touch when I sat down. I think I heard Emily shift over behind my driver's seat to get out of the glare. But I got to work, submitted the report, attended the morning meeting. It wasn't until I took a quick coffee break and reached for my phone that the illusion shattered. I did a mental restep. I remembered the dying battery. I remembered putting it on to charge. I remembered leaving it there. My phone was on the counter. Autopilot disengaged. Again, therein lies the danger. Until you have that moment, the moment you reach for your phone and shatter the illusion, that part of the brain is still in routine mode. It has no reason to question the facts of the routine. That's why it's a routine. Attrition of repetition. It's not as if anyone could say, "Why didn't you remember your phone? Didn't it occur to you? How could you forget? You must be negligent." To do this would miss the point. My brain was telling me the routine had been completed as normal, despite the fact that it hadn't. It wasn't
Hey,
that I
Nerd Squad,
forgot my
attempting
phone.
to send at
According to my
10:57
brain,
a.m.
according to the routine, my phone was in my bag. Why would I think to question it? Why would I check? Why would I suddenly remember, out of nowhere, that my phone was on the counter? My brain was wired into the routine, and the routine was that my phone was in my bag. The day continued to bake. The morning haze gave way to the relentless fever heat of the afternoon. Tarmac bubbled. Direct beams of heat threatened to crack the pavement. People swapped coffees for iced smoothies. Jackets were discarded, sleeves rolled up, ties loosened, brows mopped. The parks slowly filled with sunbathers and barbecues. Window frames threatened to warp. The thermometer continued to swell. Thank fuck the offices were air-conditioned. But, as ever, the furnace of the day gave way to a cooler evening. Another day, another dollar. Still cursing myself for forgetting my phone, I drove home. The day's heat had baked the inside of the car, releasing a horrible smell from somewhere. When I arrived on the driveway, the stones trudging comfortably under my tires, my wife greeted me at the door.
Where's Emily?
Fuck. As if the phone wasn't bad enough. After everything, I left Emily at the fucking nursery. I immediately sped back to the building. I got to the door and started practicing my excuses, wondering vainly if I could charm my way out of the late fee. I saw a piece of paper stuck to it. Due to vandalism overnight, please use side door today only. Overnight? What? The door was fine this morning. I froze. My knees shook. Vandals. A change in the routine. My phone was on the counter. I hadn't been here this morning. My phone was on the counter. I'd driven past because I was drinking my coffee. I'd not dropped off Emily. My phone was on the counter. She'd moved her seat. I hadn't seen her in the mirror. My phone was on the counter. She'd fallen asleep out of the bad sun. She didn't speak when I drove past her nursery. My phone was on the counter. She'd changed the routine. My phone was on the counter. She'd changed the routine and I'd forgotten to drop her off. My phone was on the counter. 9 hours. That car. That baking sun. No air. No water. No power. No help. That heat. A steering wheel too hot to touch. That smell. I walked to the car door. Numb. Shock. I opened the door. My phone was on the counter. And my daughter was dead.
Thank you for your patronage. Hope you enjoyed your new relic as much as I've enjoyed passing along its sordid history. It does come with our usual warning, however. Absolutely no refunds, no exchanges, and we won't be held liable for anything that may or may not occur while the object is in your possession. If you've got an artifact with mysterious properties, perhaps it's accompanied by a history of bizarre and disturbing circumstances, maybe you'd be interested in dropping it and its story by the shop to share with other customers. Please reach out to antiquariumshop@gmail.com. A member of our team will be in touch. Till next time, we'll be waiting for you whenever you close your eyes in the space between sleep and dream. During regular business hours, of course, or by appointment, only for you, our best customer. You have a good night now.
The Antiquarium of Sinister Happenings.
Are we still connected at 11:03?
Written by ScarJo. Narrated starring Lauren Shand as the wife. My boyfriend. The Antiquarium of Sinister Happenings.
Are we still connected at 11:03?
Written by ScarJo. Narrated by E.J. Lavery. Starring Owen McEwen as Noah. I got a voicemail from my wife. She died 10 years ago. Written by Allison Boredom. Narrated by Trevor Shand. Starring Dee Quintero as Lauren. Featuring Stephen Knowles as the antique dealer. Engineering, production, and sound design by Trevor Shand. Theme music by the Newton Brothers. Additional music by Coag and Vivek Abhishek. The Antiquarium of Sinister Happenings is created and curated by Trevor and Lauren Shand. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Antiquarium Pod. Call the Antiquarium at 646-481-7197.
What about nightmares?
They can't tear out your soul and your spirit.
The Rat, Ominous Thrill, a full-cast anthology of horror, thrillers, and suspense. He has deferred you to me.
Tell them what you do.
I can do anything. Character-driven tales from the dark side.
I can feel them under my skin, and I had to cut them out. We can't help her. What? Risa, what?
A man's severed head.
I need the light. You want me to fall down the stairs?
No. I want to push you. I want to sort of much.
Ominous Thrill. Available now on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and everywhere. Thrill you later.
The IDRT Scrubless store is now open. T-shirts, hoodies, even phone cases, and happy face masks are now available at our very own merchant. IceBoxRadio.threadless.com. Choose from the IDRT logos, Scoop Sisters, Running a Small Town, Frozen Frights, and more. Then choose your merch. Clothing for men, women, and kids in a variety of colors. Accessories including buttons, stickers, mugs, and tote bags. Even notebooks and skateboards are available at every sale. Helps the Icebox Radio Theater bring the Northland stories to the world. That's the Icebox Radio merch store at iceboxradio.threadless.com or just visit iceboxradio.org.
Okay. That offline video that was running that we were trying to add as an attachment has officially added as an attachment. This error code is because of the federal felons upstairs. Again, Nerd Squad, this is the email address you had me create on the 11th, felons in Unit 207. That's the drive it's been uploaded to, being mailed to the realmysticgwen@gmail.com. Pushing send. Oh, that's why. Because Unit 207 prevented it from sending. Let's try again. Is that the same one? Well, that says screenshot, one attachment. It should be the full video. May have to upload it again. Yeah, apparently I've got to upload it again, which Unit 207 is preventing. I'm clicking on Google Drive just to see maybe if it's already in there.
Water break. David, look up. We're here.
Clicking on files.
Look. Oh my gosh, we're here. Oh. I thought you were a park ranger. I am. You're just supposed to be ashamed. I worked out in the gym every week, but that was a 10-mile hike. 4 miles. A long hike running.
Clicking on files again.
Used to it. Know where my cat mountain goes.
Clicking read more for search files.
I consulted if I was. No. Well, then you're free for it. No. Or seriously, climb the tower, are you? I thought you needed some staff to send you to the mountain. Your tower's wide right.
Okay, I don't have a filter chip or know anything about any of that it's instructing me to do. I do know, however, this video was finally uploaded and I was about to email it, and that then there was an error message, which you all saw too, which is why, oh, it's because of the domestic terrorist organization upstairs, and that's the courthouse, and that's the police precinct, and that's the Department of Child Abusers and Stalkers, and you know, that's all. That's all.
Just arrived. Any trouble hiking in? Just arrived. Any trouble hiking in? I won't go for sure until I inspect the structure. Looks like the way we took it. So, 2 days in. Okay. Just make sure those people respect the park. That's not just nothing. No. Copy that. And make sure they obey all safety. Somebody loves to the park. Will do. I'll shut them every 12 hours. There's no. There's some weather getting your way. Take care. Hold up. I'll bet. I'm gonna do that.
Still connected at 11:11 a.m.
I'll bet.
Still connected at 11:11 a.m.
Sherry. Stop. Sorry, can't hear you upstairs. Stay warm and dry. Voila. Cabin is Gotcha. Well, maybe it's just obviously. Why? Curiosity killed it. And the students ready. Yum! Easily hungry. What's wrong with it?
Unit 207 is actively tampering with the police report and addendum nerd squad for today at 11:15 a.m.
Vision. This part only gets back to the 7th level of town. Not demolished, not safe. I need someone's treatment.
Still doing it at 11:16 a.m. as well. And Nerd Squad, I got your instructions, so I am about to impute it back into Gemini. And follow those instructions at 11:17.
Yeah. It moves somewhere. Why exactly? Is it? What? What? There? Yeah.
We can see you.
What do you?
I see you there. You might as well come out. Would you like to get in and out of the rain?
Is the equipment all right? Have you touched anything? Are you? Right. That is unlawful. I commit to harm service on Celcom cellular layers with power outlet. You exactly answer the question. You are please my face. Who are you? Oh. Good. Oh, yes. Excuse me. There were several of us.
Resending at 11:20 with the instructions therein.
We are. And I'm not finding the tower tomorrow with some crazy person looking us out. That's pretty good. We're building the tower in the middle of the road, so we'll always do something to end up. And I don't want to 60 feet up, and this nut job decides to go full uniball.
All right, everyone just calm down. James, was it? Oh, Jim. Right, Jim. You know why we're up here? Oh, staffing plan. What?
Stopping around and saying, all the more careful, or whatever. You were trying to bring
We heard something outside earlier. Something over there. Yeah. Or that door. Calm down. Even though you don't understand. We have to get that door right now. Well, yes, I know we didn't make noises now. Safe from what?
how exactly are you changing? You've got to be kidding me.
What's that? Well, it's a opening up. Yes, I can see. Massive buildings, $5 billion for the likes of the pranksters that have been on Oregon for 50 years. Oh, seriously, why are you here? You trying to prank us?
Into what? Oh, so mass precautions inside.
No, you're not.
I have watched movies like this, yes.
It's very difficult to explain.
Things there, maybe I'm going to use it.
Expect this to be. I expect you to believe the eyes. Look at the size of the thing. Look at the screen. It's very impressive. It's easily done with some kind of kids. Pretty well brain shit. You know, thanks for come and build it. What we deal with. Every year there's a story somewhere about a kid making equipment. Probably nonsense like that. But under the goddamn flag. Who saw the
Unit 207 feels that they've already acquired some sort of fraudulent court document as of 11:24 a.m. Friday, Valentine's Day.
Now I'm going to install myself. I'm thinking of big credit.
Your what? Do you need more research?
David, I need to get started today. You can keep on private housing here.
Sure. just that we both heard things and saw things. Maybe this one. What about the second time? She was in the cabin then.
But at least like this morning. Don't do that!
Okay, Professor, what is it then? You know, if you're trying to sound reasonable,
Come on. How exactly do you visit another country? I don't understand that. Giant university. What makes you think that you never his rights. Of course, when he gets there, he's calling me right now. And things are coming in. I must be the real checking up with all the cameras. Worked out too healthy. No, I don't with the ramen I brought. Can you hear me? Yes, you're a fine artist. Sorry, Jim. No, there's no more turkey burgers now. Okay, Jim. That's awful. What was that? Look out! No. Where are they coming? I don't. Oh my God! What is it? There, right there! Get inside! Of course I am. Get inside! Jim, I'm under the bed. You want to get away from those windows. Get away from the windows! How long is this last? You know, that's 5 minutes or so. Now, just move away. Like I said, it's unclear how long they can stay unmentioned or if they're aiming at teams while they're here.
Okay, Nerd Squad, sending at 11:37. It's going to everybody that you want it to go to.
assuming Unit 207 allows it to send. Right now, they're currently blocking it from sending. And also assuming that it shows up in my inbox, and then I will be able to serve it upon the law clerks because I was not able to send it to any of the law clerks, but was able to send it to the clerk's department. Fifth addendum. Just like was the case previously. Okay. I don't see it in one email address box, but I see it in another, Nerd Squad. So copying it from therealmysticgwen@gmail.com, selecting compose, pasting it there. And copying the subject line. This is just for the copy to go to the clerks. Putting it in the subject line. Going to my sent folder at therealmysticgwen@gmail.com. Clicking on the law clerk's urgent. Unit 207's been actively trying to prevent these people from receiving the messages. Unit 207 is actively attempting to prevent me from being able to scroll down to get to the email addresses I'm trying to access, which is the law clerk's personal email addresses, a mail upstairs. Again, they believe they've acquired some sort of further fraudulent court document or fraudulent authorization for their domestic terrorist organization as of the last 40 minutes. It's 11:40 a.m. (2/14/2025). Now they're preventing me from pasting in the email addresses. Okay, Nerd Squad sending at 11:41 a.m. from therealmysticgwen@gmail.com. I'm not seeing any emails in Mystic Gwen and the men upstairs who like to prevent people from getting it that have been legally required to get it are actively attempting to do that as part of their domestic terrorist organization. I will edit in the description of the video here from 11 a.m. to 11:42. Unit 207's domestic terrorist organization believes they have gotten from 11 a.m. to 11:42 a.m. Unit 207 believes they have further fraudulent orders to aid and to aid in their crime spree / criminal enterprise / domestic terrorist organization. Okay, let's read that back. 214, 11 a.m. to 11:42 a.m. Unit 207 believes they have further fraudulent orders to aid in their crime spree / criminal enterprise / domestic terrorist organization. All right, saving at Nerd Squad at 11:43 a.m. Now, Unit 207 is trying to prevent me from sending anything from the Yahoo account while actively attempting to prevent those required to receive the mailings that are not reflecting in my inbox either at present from reflecting. Okay, Nerd Squad, I have located the email with the addresses you want me to send to. This is to go to the Seattle FBI, the clerk, and all of the judge's personal clerks individually per the FBI.